24 hours, 3 alarms, 1 calendar full of boxes. Today, your life is sliced into numbers before the day even begins. A phone tells you when to wake up. A clock tells you when you are late. A calendar tells you what day matters. A schedule tells you when to eat, work, meet, travel, rest, and sleep. Modern time is everywhere. It glows from screens. It hangs on walls. It sits on wrists. It vibrates in pockets. It counts seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and years. 60 minutes make an hour. 24 hours make a day. 7 days make a week. 12 months make a year. Modern life turns time into numbers. You do not wait for the sun to tell you the morning has begun. You wait for an alarm. You do not need to watch the shadow of a tree to know the afternoon is passing. You glance at a screen. You do not need to remember the shape of the moon to feel the month moving. A calendar does it for you. But for most of human history, there were no clocks, no wristwatch, no wall clock, no alarm, no phone, no digital calendar, no timer, no schedule app, no glowing numbers beside the bed, no exact minute telling people when life should move. And yet, humans still had to live on time. They had to wake before the day was wasted. They had to move before the heat became too strong. They had to hunt while animals were active. They had to gather food before light disappeared. They had to return before darkness made the path harder to read. So the real question is not whether ancient humans knew the exact hour. They probably did not need to. The real question is more important. How did ancient humans survive without clocks? Because before time became numbers, it was still everywhere. In the sunrise, in the shadow, in hunger, in tiredness, in animal movement, in the moon, in the stars, in the changing seasons. Ancient humans may not have always known what time it was, but they knew when it was time to act. Time was not decoration. It was survival. A day in the ancient world was not an empty container waiting to be filled. It had pressure. Light changed. Heat changed. Animals moved. Insects appeared. Plants opened, dried, ripened, or disappeared. Water levels shifted. Wind changed direction. Shadows moved across the ground. If people moved too late, the sun could become punishing. If they waited too long to return, the path home could vanish into darkness. If they hunted when animals were already hidden, energy was wasted. If they gathered food after the light faded, useful plants became harder to see. If they slept too long, the best part of the morning could be gone. So ancient humans did not need a clock to feel time pushing on the body. They needed timing. Morning was not just a number. It was cooler air, changing bird sounds, brighter edges of the sky, and bodies beginning to wake. Midday was not 12 o'clock. It was shorter shadows, stronger heat, and the feeling that movement had become harder. Evening was not 6 o'clock. It was longer shadows, softer light, cooling air, and the need to return before the world became harder to read. The problem was that every mistake could cost energy, and energy mattered. A group that left too late might walk in worse heat. A hunter who missed the active hour of an animal might come back with nothing. A gatherer who ignored the season might search for fruit that was no longer there. A camp that waited too long to prepare fire could face the night less ready than it should. Ancient time was not exact. It was relational. The sun was higher than before. The shadow was longer than before. The air was colder than yesterday. The birds had gone quiet. The insects had started. The moon was changing. The river was lower. The fruit was almost ready. The animals were moving differently. Before clocks, humans survived by reading changes, not seconds, Signals. The first clock was the sky. Sunrise did not need numbers. It changed the color of the world. Darkness became blue. Blue became gold. Shapes returned. Paths became readable again. The air was often cooler, and bodies that had rested through the night began to move. The sun told people more than morning. As it climbed, shadows changed. Long shadows became shorter. Short shadows warned that the day was reaching its hottest point. Then shadows stretched again, telling the group that light was leaving and decisions had to become faster. A shadow was not a minute hand, but it was useful. A person could see that the day was young, high, or fading. A group could decide when to leave camp, when to rest, when to return, and when to prepare fire before the dark arrived. The body was another clock. Hunger had timing. Thirst had timing. Tiredness had timing. Sleepiness came with darkness. Energy often changed with morning light. The body responded to the cycle of light and dark long before humans gave that cycle a number. Ancient humans did not need to say, "It is 7 o'clock," to know that the body was ready to move. They could feel the morning. They could feel the heat. They could feel when the day had taken too much energy. Animals also marked time. Birds could become louder at certain parts of the day. Insects could appear with warmth, moisture, or evening light. Some animals moved more in morning or evening. Some became harder to find when the sun was high. The world around camp had a schedule, even without written schedules. Plants marked time too. Some flowers opened, some fruits ripened, some leaves dried. Some roots were easier to find after rain. Food did not appear because a calendar page changed. It appeared because seasons, water, heat, and sunlight changed. At night, the moon and stars mattered. The moon changed shape across many nights. It could make darkness brighter or leave the night deeper. Stars could help people recognize direction, season, and familiar patterns in the sky. Not every group used the sky in the same way, but the night was not empty of information. Then came the larger clock. Seasons, rainy periods, dry periods, cold periods, hot periods, animal movements, plant growth, water changes, wind patterns. Long cycles that told people when to stay, when to move, when to expect food, and when a familiar place might become harder to survive. Before clocks, time was not missing. It was outside the body, inside the body, above the camp, under the feet, and moving through every living thing. Much later, humans began building tools to measure time more directly. Shadows could be organized. The movement of the sun could be marked. Water could drip from a container at a steady pace. Around 1500 BCE, one of the oldest known water clocks was associated with ancient Egypt. That kind of tool mattered because it separated time from the sky. A water clock could keep marking time even when the sun was gone. It could help divide the night. It could turn flowing water into a measured pattern. But that was still far from the modern world. No phone alarm, no digital calendar, no vibrating notification, no exact second glowing beside a bed, no global schedule making millions of people move at the same time. For deep prehistory, time was not displayed. It was experienced. People did not need to say 7:30 to know the morning had arrived. They could see the sky brightening. They could feel the cooler air. They could hear animals changing their behavior. They could watch shadows move, hunger rise, heat build, light fade, and the group begin to shift. Their time was not abstract. It was attached to action. Time to wake, time to move, time to rest, time to return, time to prepare fire, time to leave before a place became harder to survive. Modern clocks make time feel clean, sharp, and separate from nature. They divide life into boxes and numbers. They tell us exactly where we are inside the day. Ancient humans lived differently. They read the day as it unfolded. They read the body. They read the animals. They read the sky. They read the season. They remembered patterns across many mornings, many nights, and many returns to the same places. So how did ancient humans survive without clocks? Not by living outside time. They survived by living inside it. Before clocks, humans did not always know the exact hour, but they knew when light was leaving. They knew when heat was rising. They knew when animals were moving. They knew when the body was tired. They knew when the season was changing. And for survival, that was often the more important kind of time.